Welcome, everybody, to the Zion Experience. I'm Jim Shaw. I forget Jordan. Jordan Frank, the other co-host, is on.
I'm here.
You know, we really don't prepare for this.
You know, we're better off to come. That's about all you're going to get. That's what I got.
I have ham and cheese loaf in the refrigerator for days like today.
With that, let's get back into it.
Let's get in our groove. Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the Zion Experience, or TZE as we call it. I've got my co-host Jordan Frank, our good friend, my good friend, could be your good friend, Chip Steffey, on today. So we're gonna do a special topic today. We're rolling out a 3PL campaign, really doing a directed marketing business development effort of how we feel like we best help 3PLs. So we brought one of our 3PL experts on to talk about it. And it's really just going to be how Zion plans to help 3PLs as you all prepare for the future. So normally I do the bio. I could do a quick one on you, Chip, but I'm going to turn it over to you, man. Let you smile, let you tell everybody how smart you are, how long you've been in the industry, how much of a glutton for punishment you've been to stay in the 3PL industry as long as you have. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yep. So Chip Steffey, been in the 3PL world really since 2006. So it started at UPS supply chain as a co-op through the University of Louisville, and got to learn a lot through that co-op experience, and then was fortunate enough to get hired on board once I graduated from college, and then really spent 18 years at UPS 3PL supply chain solutions, and really worked in all facets of the 3PL business. So, front end solutions, really managed all of our North American solutions engineering department. So supported not only retail, high tech, aerospace type of customers, but also healthcare product as well in distribution. And then also for a while took over the implementation engineering team. So, really what I'd love to say was taking it from spreadsheets and paper to heartbeats and concrete. And so, getting to see a piece of concrete turn into a full-blown operation, not only from IT standpoint and understanding the requirements and the functionality within the system, but then also the physical side of how the product comes in, how it gets stored, how it gets picked, packed, and shipped out the door based off our customers' requirements, and then ongoing steady state support. So as we know, the world of 3PL is a short-lived contract of 3 to 5 years, so it's not a very long tenure. Sometimes you get some long ones, but not very often. And so every 3 to 5 years, and really almost every day, you're trying to continue to impress your customer and show them the value of the 3PL and what you bring to the table and how you support them, not only from a day-to-day operation and quality standpoint, but also just continuous improvement and innovation and staying up on the latest industry trends, not only from their customer standpoint, but also from a warehousing standpoint, and keeping technology front of mind and how to cut costs and increase quality and service. So yeah, really full aspect of the 3PL world. I've been able to experience a lot of it and a lot of diverse customers. But as you said, it was a lot of fun, a lot of puzzles to figure out on a daily basis. There wasn't many days you came in and said, we didn't do much today. It was more of like, you won't believe what came out of either an operation or a customer request or whatever. So yeah, that's a little bit of the fun I've had for the last 18 years.
Awesome. That's a long bio. You went longer than I did, Chip. It might be the first time you talked longer than I have, isn't it? But
that's probably right.
You left out a few things. So you're an all-American dad. You're a great dad. I've known Chip for a long time, so all the way back to his intern days at U of L and at UPS. So we worked together a long time there. But Chip's a great dad. He's got a couple kids. He coaches everything. What do we got? Travel softball going on right now, and
Yep.
we do in the fall a little bit as well. So
Yeah, so we do travel baseball and softball this time of year. Then the fall, my daughter plays flag football and volleyball. My son plays. It'll be his first year of tackle football this year coming up. So we'll see how much he likes contact and how physical he really wants to be. And then they both love to play basketball in in the wintertime as well. So yeah, we don't stop very much. We probably get about 4 to 6 weeks off a year without any real practices. But the rest of the year we're running them. But it's some we enjoy doing. Some people will say, hey, your kids are going to get burnt down on sports and you're running them everywhere. And, we'll come home from a practice and they'll turn on a ball game just to watch it and learn. So, as long as they keep loving it, we'll keep supporting it. And yeah, it's way better than sitting at home and doing nothing and staring at a screen all day. So they love it.
What's the baseball bats? Is that a new addition or is it just a different camera angle that I'm seeing?
No, I've had them for a while. So we used to, usually at companies you get little like ceramic awards or little glass awards. Those are boring. So we used to get bats for big awards at work. And so got five of them back there from different projects we did or different special assignments I've done in my years. But yeah, I think they're a lot better than just having a little acrylic award, and they're not too bad. So Little Slugger can make them all custom for you, and you can customize the color, the pattern, what it says on it, all that fun stuff. So,
have your name on it, written on it, like engraved in the barrel. Nice.
Yeah.
Jimmy didn't bring that with him from his UPS days. He must not have got any awards.
Chip went and did most of the special assignments. He went and did. He's got one back there. I'm sure that is one of his favorite special assignments he ever got on. So
yeah. No, Jimmy just made the phone calls for the special assignments, especially when you're on vacation in Disney. You get a phone call of, hey man, I hope you're having a good time, but when you get back, I got a special assignment for you. That you're gonna have to travel to for a while. So enjoy the time with the family now. You might not get very much here coming up. So good time though.
Which is a wonderful transition. And to Chip, can you walk us through some of the challenges 3PLs face today? They've been facing them for decades, right? But no, on a serious note, how do we what are some of the challenges you and Jordan see a lot in this space? Obviously, I've got a lot of background in 3PLs. We worked together several years as supporting a 3PL in a support function, but what are some of the challenges you see? And then how do solution providers, how do people like us and our partners, how are we adapting to help 3PLs meet them and do better and be more efficient, solve them?
Yeah. I think there's really two main challenges, that I see a lot from a 3PL standpoint. Number one is, just the economic industry as a world changes every month, right? Sales channels change. I saw the boom with COVID. Everybody went to e-com, and then, really in the last couple of years, a lot of people started going back to stores. And so, you got to be able to react to those situations. A lot of customers or companies that use 3PLs expect those 3PLs to be able to adapt no matter what's going on. And so, that can be a challenge because, as we all know, different profiles, different order types, different sales channels have different requirements and different complexities to them that you have to be able to adapt to. So I think that's one thing that is very difficult on a potential day-to-day basis from a 3PL standpoint. The other one is the unfortunate good and bad that comes with YouTube and ProMat and different things, is everyone sees technology. They see robots, they see robotic arms, they see what Amazon's doing, and they're like, well, I want that for my business. Well, got to have a little bit of volume to justify some of those things, unless you just want something cool to look at, right? And so, I think the challenge for 3PLs is reacting to customer changes, but then also tempering customer expectations on what's really the right solution for their business. When you really look at all three cost categories that come into a 3PL pricing, which is assets, space, and labor. And so, I think those things are difficult, and really where we try to, from a Zion standpoint, help 3PLs in those aspects is, we're really good at analyzing multiple different types of solutions quickly, right? And giving validity behind, when you walk into a customer and say, this is our solution, they're going to say, well, what else did you look at? We help provide that, right? We give you, hey, if you went to a goods person, this is what it would look like. If you went to an AMR solution, this is what it looked like. Here's pros and cons. And I think just helping them also gauge, really how precise they want to be in their solution. Again, those solutions can change, volumes change, and you got to be, the word flexible. But no solution is like Gumby, right? It's not super flexible, but there's got to be some tolerances and some scales you can put on it to be able to say, hey, if things double, this is how you react. If it gets cut in half, this is how you can react and control your costs. So that way you're not just burdening your customer with a large expense. And so, really because of our experience with those 3PLs and understanding those changes and how they are getting impacted, I think we do a really good job of weighing out pros and cons across solutions, educating our customers for when they have to present to their customers, and making sure, we build as much validity behind what we provide as the right solution and why as possible.
Yeah, I think you hit on a really key point there. I mean, they're all key points, but there towards the end is something I think we've been seeing a lot of recently, which is, how perfect do I need to make the design? How flexible do I make the design? Because you could make a design that works perfectly for the data that you have and the design that you have, but then one change breaks it. Vice versa, you can make it as flexible as possible, but then it's not as efficient as it could be. So striking that right balance of knowing that contract may end and they want to be able to repurpose that asset, or the forecast may grow, or the question that's been around forever of how do I handle my peak if I'm introducing automation? But I think it's really a combination of all those things. Because I can tell you, we see a lot of 3PL opportunities, and there's similarities between a lot of them, but no opportunity is exactly the same as another opportunity. So trying to find the right level of technology, if there's technology, which technology, what's been proven, what's not proven, how well are your operators going to adapt to it? I mean, there's just an endless list of challenges. And I think we find those that have success are willing to take a little bit of calculated risk. They know that it's not perfect. They know not every question's answered, but they've had a successful go live at some point, or a successful launch of technology that makes them realize that they can improve upon a system when it's first put in. So get the basis in and then improve upon it and continue to supplement it through continuous improvement exercises and whatever else. But I think for those 3PLs that have done it and figured it out from a technology standpoint, they're doing really well. For those 3PLs that are trying to get into it, it's scary. It's hard. But there's ways to do it, to your point, through different technologies, goods to person or AMR, or maybe it is that robotic arm from a pick and place, whatever it may be, packaging automation, right? There's different entry points. And I think what we try to do, because part of the question was how are solution provider helping these 3PLs adapt to those struggles? I think we and you really do a really good job of understanding, coming from that world and knowing the pain that it has, of trying to help steer people towards the right level of automation to start with. Don't go with the big bang. Don't try to do something you've never done before, but step into it. If you have the ability to do it, which is a luxury, I think we can find that there's a successful roadmap in place for those particular customers.
I think you all hit on a couple key points too that we're going to transition. We may talk about some of these, like 3PLs. There's really 3 different stages of 3PLs. I don't know if this is fair or not, but there's I have the business and the business is changing and it's organically. I'm trying to grow it, right? Maybe the solution has grown. It started as one size, it's going to another size. So let's call that a category. I've got the RFP business that's coming in. It's brand new business. I have to compete for it. And then you've just got the traditional sales model where you're going out and it's not really an RFP, but you're trying to bring in a customer. You may have a relationship, and those are all 3 different angles. You can call the organic one, you're trying to protect churn or a project renewal, or they're just growing. There's a lot of things that fall under that bucket, Chip and Jordan. The brand new business is probably less. There's less of it out there because everybody in life has relationships, but where you're just going to bring somebody in. And then let's talk about this dynamic of the RFP. So the RFP process in itself for 3PLs is somewhat unique. If you've ever been part of an RFP, or you're sitting on, or you are actively involved in RFPs, you'll know how quick the timelines are. Me personally, I think RFPs by design are a procurement exercise. They add value there if you're a procurement driven type 3PL. They do sometimes give you best in class solutions and best in class ideas. But a lot of times I think RFPs miss the mark on how quickly they have to be handled and how much time you spend on them or how they have to turn them around. Maybe a little biased in that because I've lived in the space for almost 3 decades now of responding to them. But Chip, Jordan, how do we help 3PLs handle those quick turnarounds? How do we help them navigate the RFP landscape? Because I think it's important for anybody trying to grow in this 3PL world. This is an area that they probably are interested in. So how do we help them?
Yeah. I mean, to your point, the main challenge on RFP, really 2 points I would say that are the main challenge on RFP is number one is turnaround time, right? You usually get 2 to 3 weeks for a potentially multi-million-dollar solution from not only a design standpoint, but again, as you include costs and labor over an overall 3 to 5 year term. Putting that all together is not easy because the other point that makes RFP challenges is what information you have to base it off of, right? And so, if you're looking to, there's 3PLs that come to us and say, hey, we want to go into e-com. We don't have a lot of e-com today. What do we do, right? And that's really where, our value comes in of, really seeing a lot of different opportunities across a lot of different commodity types and what the order profiles look like for both, e-com, retail, wholesale. What does it look like for an apparel company versus what does it look like for a footwear company? What does it look like against for a, swimwear company, and when do those peaks offset, and what do their customers really value, especially when you look at like luxury brands and their out-of-box experience, and how does that need to look and pack out. And so I think a big thing that we bring is number one is speed. We have really good partners from an automation and technology standpoint that we have the ability to price a lot of their equipment and their solutions ourselves. And so again, we can take 2 or 3 different design options and price them quickly and be able to really say, okay, hey, what do these budgets look like from a capital standpoint, but then also what do they look like from an ongoing recurring cost, especially if you're looking at something like Locus or anything with a large automation, what does your spare parts consumption look like and your ongoing maintenance team look like? And how does that overall cost, evaluated over the deal? But then again, back to Jordan's point, from a productivity standpoint, hey, this might be a little bit cheaper capital, but I can afford a little bit more labor, or vice versa. We also try to help, educate on, how to deal with peak. Some customers still have a good 5 to 7 to 1 peak to average ratio. And the term, we like to use is built the church for Easter Sunday. That's a lot of investment for 5 days, 10 days a year. And so, hey, what can you do during peak and what can you do during non-peak to still use your investment as much as possible from an overall operational design standpoint? And so we really try to, make sure we're giving our customers, this is, what we think is the best solution. Here's how to operate it. Here's the best value of it, or the value of why we chose a solution over some others. So again, as you get that question in the room, you can answer, what else did you look at? And then, again, back to the timing, we know typically by the time we get done, there's, our 3PL partner still needs a week to do their overall solutioning and their approval process within their organization before they put out pricing. And so, we respect that, and we're aware of it. It's not a shock when someone comes to us and says, hey, I need something by, next Friday. Yep. We expect that when you're in those situations. So, there's no surprises there, but, really being able to, work with our multiple technology partners and be able to price different options quickly, I think is a key value we bring into those discussions. And, because as you can imagine, right, a lot of 3PLs have a lot of different technologies, but usually they stick with 2 or 3 technologies that they know well, and that's kind of what they hammer from a solution standpoint. And so with us having a more diverse portfolio that we can look across, we can really help educate them on, hey, why did you, go Locus in this versus Exotech, or why did you go here versus Geek, or vice versa? We can really give those pros and cons in that information, so that way our 3PL partner, looks very educated in what they're producing or providing to their customer of why it was a good solution. Because, really on the RFP side, it's that initial first impression. You got to make that initial good first impression, get past that first round. Then after that first round, kind of slows down a little bit. You get down selected, you get down to the 2 or 3, you're having more meaningful conversations. they might be bringing in more of the operational team to say, okay, here's some more nuances of our design you need to be able to think about, or what would you adjust based off these. And so, really helping our customer get that very good first impression, good first price, good solution, well thought through solution. I think it's a key value we bring, and then allow them to work on, more of the marketing side, more of the costs of what they're willing to do from a margin or profit that they need to generate for their business side, while we take that workload off them from an overall design and capital standpoint.
Yeah, and I'll just add a few quick things. I mean, I think one of the things that can be tough is understanding what's important or what's relevant and what's not. So when you get an RFP, sometimes it's 2 pages, sometimes it's 200 pages. Sometimes you get a lot of good line level data, sometimes you get data summaries, and it can become overwhelming or it can be underwhelming. And understanding where you can make assumptions, where you can peel out the key pieces of information is really important. That allows us, back to Chip's point, from a timing standpoint, really turn through these things pretty quick. Because as I mentioned earlier, while every opportunity is unique and different, there are similarities, and we can pull from those similarities because it's what we do every day. And then I think the other piece, and well, I'll say one of the most frustrating pieces of responding to an RFP in the first round is lack of customer, availability. You don't really get an opportunity to sit down and talk with them one-on-one. It's usually a Q&A, and you got to submit your questions along with everybody else, and you have to wait to get those answers back, and then you can't really clarify those answers. They're just there. So it can be tough. But I think what we find is one of the things that we try to educate 3PLs on is it's hard for them to ask questions if they don't know which questions to ask. Meaning there's certain things that we see that generates a question of like, hey, I see that this is saying whatever it may be. Does that mean they want to do this or they want to do that, right? I mean, if you think about an omni-channel environment, thinking through, is the inventory pre-allocated by channel? That's an important difference when you're responding to an RFP. If I have to keep my retail, wholesale, and e-com all segregated and separate, that may blow out my inventory requirements. Whereas if I know that I can cross-share across those 3 channels, maybe I can consolidate some of that inventory and give them a little bit more flexibility in the design. So there's some key questions and some key thoughts that can be difficult for a 3PL to know, because it's really around the design of the system. And a lot of 3PLs are focused, as they should be, on running the system. So where we can get help, where we can provide help and guidance, especially on our first round submittal, as Chip mentioned, it's really the design. What's important, what's not, what's close enough, what do we have to be accurate on, and just educating 3PLs on some of those different aspects.
Yeah, and I think you all hit on. I think we're one of the best, at least your all's teams, in being able to go out and provide that speed and that quick turnaround. I mean, Chip, you did it forever, right? We've got several people that have done this a long time. So great feedback. I think great education for people out there.
Yeah.
So when 3PLs are presenting automation or an integration solution from somebody like Zion to their customers, how can we help? How do we help, or how can we help support those conversations? Because we don't get to do it for everybody, but when are we at our best? When do we think, like, what support? How can we help 3PLs when they're presenting it back to their customers?
Yeah, I think it goes to the comfort of the 3PL, right? To join the partner, there's some that have done a lot of automation and a lot of conveyance and sortation systems, and they know it, right? They're educated, they can speak to it, they can understand how it's going to flow. They've done it multiple times. Where we really come in to help is the ones who haven't done it, or haven't done it to a large scale. They might have a little conveyor system in one account, or might have another account with the Locust or something along those lines, but they've never done a really, large goods to person system. And so, we really like to be a part of those meetings as possible through RFP presentations, because we really, value that opportunity just as much as our 3PL partner does. And so being able to be in the room, and, the 3PL might not be able to say, yes, I've done, an Exotech system. Well, we have. We've done it. We know what to watch out for. We've been engaged with them for a long time. Or, hey, I've never, looked at using, Geek Racks in person. Well, we've done it. We've experienced it. We know what to watch out for. We know how to spread inventory across racks versus single racks, and make sure you're set up from day one for success versus learning through the first 3 to 6 months while you're also trying to provide a good quality service to that end customer. And so I think the key thing we can do is bring validity to a design and bring trust that the design will work and that we've done it before, because no one ever wants to be quote unquote the guinea pig. And so we can help 3PLs get some instant credibility from hey, can you do this? Can you run this? Yes, and this is my partner Zion that will be there from this very beginning of the RFP process all the way through go live and post go live to support me and make sure we have a good maintenance setup. We know how to run the operation. We know how to root cause issues if they happen throughout the day, and be able to provide good service to their end customers. So I think it's just really partnering with them and being a part of their solution process versus just being a capital provider, right? That's not where we see value in not really where we like to engage. We like to be a part of that process and really work with our 3PL partners to make the best solution both internally for their business, but then externally for their end customers and help them shine through that process.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all that, and I think those are the most important reasons. And I think some of the secondary reasons is we mentioned earlier flexibility versus designing it right to the actual requirements, right? There's kind of a blend of the two. And the reason I bring that up is one of the things that I think we do really well is have the ability to overcome objections during presentations. So when we present a solution, we want to understand all the requirements. And while there may not be a direct path for every requirement, we want to make sure that when we create that design, we have the flexibility built in to be able to adapt it based on how the conversation goes, right? We talked through the lack of customer involvement in that first round. So there could be things that are inherent to their process that maybe didn't get into the RFP or weren't known. And that comes up in a meeting, like, well, how are you going to account for this? So having a solutions provider there, and what we do is we're able to usually, can't say always, but I would say the vast majority of the time, provide some level of answer to that question versus, I don't know, we didn't think about that, we'll have to get back to you. Because if you start to hear, I don't know, or we'll get back to you over and over, you're not going to be building confidence. So no matter how great your presentation is, no matter how great your pricing is, part of first round submittals is just really seeing your capabilities and do you have the experience? And if you can get past that, then you can start building upon the relationship. Then you can start tweaking your price. So that, I think, is another area that we can provide some value more so in that first round submittal.
Yeah, and I think we also help a lot from just even a material standpoint. Again, we give all of our data that we run for an RFP to our customers to say, hey, here's the data summaries we came up with. Here's the uniqueness of, the SKU velocity or the order profiles we saw. But we also do really nice, here's the 3D rendering of the operation, really kind of bring it to life. We used to get asked a lot at UPS, well, what is this fixed fee buying me? What does this operation look like? And it was a 2D CAD drawing, and we're like, you just got to visualize it. Mm-hmm. That doesn't work very well, right? But being able to, take a customer through, this is what we're seeing your operation look like from a 3D standpoint. Even if we have time to walk them through it, kind of quote unquote virtually, I think it's something that we bring that's very powerful in a proposal and in a presentation. Again, to show the thoughtness and the expertise that we're bringing to it, and not just saying, hey, we drew this in CAD and we think it'll work. It's, we know it'll work, and this is how we can explain each detail as much as possible of the process flow.
Yeah. I'm gonna flip the script. I'm gonna make Jimmy talk a little bit, because I'm gonna read off this next question and let the two of you go at it. He's the last two podcasts we've been on. He's been the moderator, and I've been stuck as a panelist. So we're gonna switch.
Supposed to pause. So you've already blown it. You're supposed to pause.
No.
You just jumped right into it.
Oh, she is listening now. She wasn't listening earlier. She was out walking around. She had a little case. She's been busy today.
Is that why she turned her camera off?
Customer awards, partner awards. She's been working hard, getting everything packed up. I was waiting to see if she gave me a thumbs up. She didn't. But I'm going to go.
You're at 30 minutes. We're going to get to chat here in just about 5 more minutes.
Yeah, I know. All right. So, Chip, you mentioned through some of the different things we do to provide value. So with 3PL supporting everything from retail to healthcare to industrial goods, how can solutioning teams tailor their approach from discovery to deployment to kind of account for some of those industry specific needs and rapid changes? Meaning, we have different verticals and different 3PLs in those verticals. Within each vertical, there's usually some sort of uniqueness to it, some sort of requirement. So how have you and how can others, once again, tailor their approach as they're working across those different verticals?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes into design and then also back to the feedback, right? Like we really try to think about what's valuable to the customer, right? There's just certain things that, depending on the industry, should be expected or known, right? Usually we see, retail and in apparel, when you're dealing with a luxury brand, they're going to want a really nice out of box experience for their customer. If someone's buying a $300, $400, $500 item, they want to be excited about opening that box and seeing that product top of the box, not underneath a bunch of paper and air pillows and stuff like that. And so, being able to speak to, working with our 3PL to say, hey, this is what's going to be important to them, is that out of box experience or inventory security, right? Again, those items are resellable, very resellable on, the black market, quote unquote. How are we introducing different things, again, from a technology standpoint, to ensure order quality or inventory quality as much as we can, I think is key. Then you talk about, you look at, healthcare, it's a whole different gamut, right? Productivity is important, but also is, quality and order accuracy, especially when you're dealing with lot control product again, because, ultimately that 3PL is going to be in charge of, if there's a recall, who did we ship this stuff to? Are we sure that we shipped it to these people? So that way we can make sure we contact them if there is a recall in those kind of situations, and make sure, we're keeping that record retention as much as possible to be able to do those kind of recalls or quality checks throughout the process. And again, another thing is product security in that one, right? A lot of healthcare goods have a lot of quote unquote street value. And so again, what are we introducing from a process, or why do we choose this type of technology? Well, not only does that have good productivity, but it also has product security because no one's works in that area. Okay, that's great. Now people can't just walk through there. Nope, it's closed off. It's only your maintenance team, and you can watch them. And so different things like that we can think through. Then you talk about aerospace. Okay, what do they have? Talk about FOD and different things from an order accuracy standpoint. If they have one extra washer in a kit build on a production line, they might shut down a whole plant because they don't know where that washer is. And if it goes in the engine, it blows it up. So really just understanding again just the uniquenesses of the different industries and what's important to them. And then how do we incorporate that into our design and make sure we're doing everything we can to meet what's important to that customer, because everyone's going to tell you they want the best price. That's understood. That's just part of the world we're in, right? But there's always different value adds and different parts of those industries that are important to them that we need to make sure we're accounting for, and how are we solving that problem just as much as giving them a good price.
Yeah, and I think I would just add a lot of the last two questions y'all both have asked and commented on. It's just, it comes down to a lot to experience.
Yeah.
So you can't discredit the ability to have an advisor in the room or a partner in the room that's been through it, that's had the experience, that's walked through these transformations, that's walked through running a retail warehouse and the requirements of inventory versus a healthcare or an aerospace or something along those lines. So one of the unique things I think that the team, you all and ourselves, myself included, is just the experience. When you're going through these are no longer simple projects. The days, there's still plenty that are doing. I don't have stats. I'm sure it's probably more than we would realize. There's still less than 5 to 10% of the warehouses are truly automated in distribution space. But these are not simple designs. So the ability to go in, and I think you gotta have the ability to look around the corner. So experience affords that, like what's coming. You have to have the ability sometimes to sit with your partner or your 3PL customer and tell them, you all aren't ready for that. You have to have the ability to know that this is needs to be more software driven than it needs to be hardware driven or automation driven. And so I bring all that round to experience, right? And once you've walked in those shoes and you've walked across these different verticals, or you've walked across these different levels of automation in the game, you had the experience to sit down and have some really meaningful conversations with with customers. And I think that's what our partners, our customers that really value us and Zion and the relationship, I think they value that. We're like a trusted advisor where they listen to you. It's like, when you're going somewhere, you haven't been through something, you go find somebody that you trust and you ask them a question. Maybe your mom or dad, maybe a friend, maybe somebody's been to an area before you go there for vacation, but you go seek that experience.
Yeah, I mean, I for me personally, I didn't come from a 3PL world like the two of you, and
We've taught you good though, haven't we?
Yeah. Well, I was
Have
gonna
we
say I was
taught
gonna say
you
something
good?
about it. Now I kind of want to recant it. Um, when I when I started
I
in the
think you ought to have a
industry,
special assignment, Chip. What do you think? I think you ought to get like a year
I've
special
had plenty of
assignment.
special assignments. I think an 8-year special assignment. But when I started in the industry, we were really big with 3PLs, but it was almost all apparel and e-com. And there's certainly some learnings there, but you can pick it up and you understand it's a different set of challenges. And I remember when we were starting to get into kind of the healthcare world, the med device, the pharmaceutical, there were so many even just terms I wasn't aware of that people like yourselves knew inherently. We have another team member, Justin and Drew, that had that healthcare experience. And there's just things like lot, batch, and expiration, and some of the requirements from a building licensing perspective, some of the software things that you have to do, some of the touches that you have to do, some of the quality scans that you have to. There's just so many little pieces to it that can complicate the process, but you've got to get it right. And if you are a 3PL and you're presenting an RFP in one of those type of industries and you don't have that in your process, you're not, once again, it's not going to look favorable to you. They expect you to know it. You're supposed to be the expert. So I think definitely having people that have experience in those different industries give us a lot of opportunity to have diversity amongst the industries that we're in. I mean, even including, we've started really not necessarily manufacturing, but kitting for manufacturing. That was a new industry. It's got its own learning curve. I'm not doing a 50-pound case. I'm doing a 2,000-pound product. Like, it's a different world that you have to understand and you have to know. And the last thing that I would say is it also comes down to, Chip, you mentioned earlier, like high value storage, right? Well, if I'm dealing with aerosols or hazmats or other things, once again, there's certain technologies or storage considerations that will be disqualified because of the cost to make it actually work in the building from a permitting and fire suppression standpoint. So all those little carrots and having somebody that understands those and knows those will not only cut out time on the response, but will give you the trust and faith that what you're getting will work, and there's not going to be a lot of different changes to it or things you didn't consider. Okay, Jimmy, I'll ask his last one, then I'll let you take on the fun question for Chip. Let you pick. So,
Well, I thought we needed to do like a 3PLs listening. Let's put you. Well, there might be some gold that comes out of here. So I'm a brand new 3PL. We did this last week, Chip. We knew some of the people we were talking to, but they're like, "Okay, Zion, how can you help a 3PL? Why would I work with you?" So, Chip, you got like a short condensed answer you got to give here, and then Jordan gets to go. I've already got mine. I'm cheated. I got mine on the side. I'm gonna be quicker than both of you all, but go, Chip. 3PL, you're new, meeting Zion for the first time today. Why do they need to work with Zion?
I'd say, really there's two main reasons why you need to work with Zion. Number one is, we know your industry, right? We know your industry well. We understand how your business works for the most part. We understand there's different complexities and a lot of diversity, and, you'll have different ways to analyze stuff. And we really understand that, respected that what you have to do from a capital request standpoint, but then also how do you sell to your customer standpoint. And so, number one, we get it. Number two, I think we really care about our projects, right? So we don't just think it's another project in the hopper and we work through it, right? We really want our customers to look good because we feel like if our customers look good, we look good. And so I think there's a lot of detail we go through and a lot of true valuable conversations of what's important, what do we design and why. Let's look at these different iterations and really want to give you and that 3PL the best solution to put forward in front of their current or future customer. And so I think those are really the two main reasons is our speed and understanding of the business, but number two, just really our ownership as part of that project team to help continue to grow their business.
Told you there's gonna be some gold in this, Jordan. Well, you
right.
got. You've been thinking.
Well,
about
I gave my answer. I gave my answer last time. I'll
Did
let
you?
you go. The only thing I would say, because Chip does this really well, and so our whole team does, but we care. So what I mean by that is we challenge 3PLs more than we challenge ourselves. And the reason we're challenging them is typically not to add more. It's to remove unnecessary items that we just don't see the value being provided. So we take a lot of time to go through and look at the ROIs and the space savings and the ease of running the system and the potential payback and the risk. And it is not uncommon for us to tell somebody who comes to us with an idea of, I think I could automate this. Like, look, you can, but if you do it this way with manual or with a lighter type of automation, not only does your flexibility and success potentially increase, but your cost decreases. That's a pretty cool thing. But you're telling me my flexibility and process increases while my cost is decreasing. So from somebody that's trying to sell the equipment, it's just never top of mind in terms of how do we sell as much as we can. It is always about what is the best solution that hits all these different criteria, cost being one of them. So I just wanted to reiterate that the team really, really cares. And you see that in almost every meeting we have.
Those are both pretty good. I've got 2 new acronyms I'm going to drop on you all. We'll see if they stick.
Oh, boy.
The first one's the SEC. So we're kind of in the South. We're all SEC, not everybody, but SEC. So speed, experience, and creativity. So if somebody asks us, what does our team bring to the table? This podcast has been on that, right? You think about it. We got speed, the right speed. That doesn't mean we're just frivolous and fast. We've got the right experience. We've selectively and intentionally brought people on the team that understand this market, that we can help. And we say no when we can't. I think that's one thing that when you say we care, Jordan, you and Chip both, like we care about the solution we put out, but we've got the right experience. And then I always brag on you all. I don't have as much of it. You all have a whole lot more of it, but our creativity. And then the other one's part of the Pinnacle process we've talked about several times. It's just our brand promises. So what can you expect? MGB, memorable experiences. We're going to guide intelligent change, the right change, which to your point, Jordan, like we're not out just trying to sell automation and sell capital. We want the right change, the intelligent. We want to guide that intelligent change in. And then there's no B team. We pride ourselves on having the right team members that can help our customers and who care. It's coming back to both your all's points. So SEC and MGB. We'll see if either one of those stick at some point in the future, but somebody's going to go market that.
SEC, I'm sure it's got a little bit of a trademark. You'll have to do some. We'll have to do some digging on that.
We don't worry about those type of things. They're not in the intralogistics supply chain industry.
That's right.
Anyway, so do you want to ask the fun question, or you want me to ask the fun question?
Go for it.
I don't know which one would be the funnest to hear you answer. I probably asked you one of these before, Chip. Let's do this because it's vacation season. So Chip wins the lottery tomorrow, or you close a humongous deal and your bank account floweth over. Where's your dream vacation? Where do you take the family? Where do you and Jackie go? What's the dream vacation?
I'd say right now the dream vacation would be Europe. So I'm a big history fan. I really found that stuff just super interesting. The way people accomplished a lot of things years ago that, building the Coliseum before you had cranes and bulldozers and all that stuff. Now you had a lot of people that could dig a lot of shovels, but just seeing history from that aspect, and then also I was really into like World War II stuff, so being able to see that, I think just really experiencing Europe, the different lifestyles, the different cultures and different experiences you can have, and really all of Europe would be super interesting. So that would probably be the first vacation that I would take is a long journey through there, either doing through train or some of the riverboat tour stuff, and just really get to see the full continent and understand, really all the different aspects of it. So.
It'd be cool. I've been there several times. I'm giving you some places to visit. So
yeah. I mean, everyone I know who's been there, it's says awesome, right?
It
And
is.
I'm also would love to get over to, Japan and stuff like that as well. But I think Europe would be my first one, just, and also being able to take my kids for them to experience those things. I wanted to go up northeast of the US and, teach them the history of America. And I'm like, my son's just not getting to that age where he can start to understand it a little bit. But, so we might be doing that's sooner than later as well. But those are things we really look forward from vacation. We've done the beach stuff enough, and now we're more into different experiences. I took a page out of your book, and last fall break we went to some national parks, and my kids came back and said they liked it better than Disney World, which I was like, whoa, that's a little aggressive of a rating. But they got to see different landscape, right? They never really saw a desert. They never really saw, canyons and different rock formations, and they got to climb rocks and go up buttes and feel like they climbed Mount Everest. And so, those are things that I think just experience wise, they really enjoy and would enjoy, going to Europe and just experiencing everything they got, trying new stuff, seeing new things. And I think it would be a really fun trip.
Awesome. Well, this has been fun. I've enjoyed talking through this. I hope there's some value out there that the people listening have gotten. I know they will get out of it. And if you're a 3PL looking for a partner, if you just are a 3PL looking to get into a different industry, or maybe you need help in a transformation journey, maybe you need help just in trying to secure some new business or open a new market, there's several of us out there that are well positioned to help you. I would encourage you to partner with a systems integrator, partner with someone that makes you better. You won't go wrong. You won't regret it. And you'll look back and be glad you had somebody there to walk hand in hand with you and go along the journey. So thank you. And until next time.
Yeah. Thank you.
See y'all.
We want to thank you all for listening to another episode of the Zion Experience. Please make sure you subscribe to our show on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcast. If you have any ideas or topics you'd love to hear about, or maybe for a future episode, please let us know. Send us something in the comments. We appreciate you all, and we'll see you here next time.